And now to another agency that's about to be transferred to the Assembly's control. Cafcass Cymru, the Welsh wing of the troubled Child and Family Court Service, has, like its English counterpart, been subjected to endless protests about the way it deals with fathers in child custody cases. One of its main critics, Fathers for Justice, have waged a suffragette-style protest campaign against Cafcass and others in authority. They flower-bombed Tony Blair and brought chaos to last Sunday's communion service at York Minster. But have the irate dads a case? Brian Meakin reports on this particular dad's army.
Where children are involved, the breakup of a marriage can be devastating, as a family shatters, leaving scars that can last for years, sometimes decades. It's traumatic for all those involved, from infants to grandparents. But when fathers and mothers can't reach agreement on what should happen with the children, it's left to the courts to intervene. The Children's Act, which came into force in 1992, was a watershed, enshrining in legislation that the best interests of the child are paramount. Few disagree with this sentiment, but critics, including fathers' rights groups, say it's routinely ignored in practice by the judicial system. Leighton Bevan threatened to go on hunger strike when he says he was told by the courts he could only see his sons Harry and Jake for 1 hour every fortnight in a supervised contact centre.
I do anything for my children. I expect you would do the same for yours. You do anything for your children. My children were taken as far as I was concerned. I was prepared to do anything just to see them or to get them back. And I thought hunger strike probably would bring awareness to not just my problem, the problem of many other dads who must be going through the same thing.
According to Leighton Bevan, the judge in his case had been acting on the advice of a Cafcass report. Since its troubled conception in 2001, that organisation has been charged with safeguarding the welfare of children when their parents are going through a divorce and can't agree on contact or residency arrangements. It's been criticised, including by a parliamentary committee, for the delays in its reports and its poor training of staff. The government's taken some flack for not giving Cafcass the resources it needs to do the job. Leighton Bevan eventually reached a private agreement with his wife for more contact. He now questions the qualifications and training of Cafcass officers.
These particular officers were experts in their field as well. They're in fact probation officers. That's got absolutely no experience in family and care at all. Their only experience is with hardened criminals. When your car breaks down, you would go out, get a mechanic who's had years of experience to get the job done. If your television broke down, you would get an experienced technician to fix your television. But if your marriage breaks down, a judge calls Cafcass.
He now runs a group called Parents for Protest and believes Cafcass is biased in favour of mothers. It's not the only organisation that's developed recently, not only in the UK but across the world, to fight for fathers' rights. Fathers for Justice has been the most prominent. One of its members caused a security scare in the House of Commons when he threw purple flour at Tony Blair. It's also organised protests and demonstrations across the UK, often at Cafcass offices. These more militant groups were preceded by Families Need Fathers, who for the last 30 years have been lobbying and campaigning for the rights of dads. Tonight, the Cardiff branch of Families Need Fathers is meeting in this club. Its guest speaker is the head of Cafcass in Wales, Dafydd Evans. He won't allow us to record the discussion, but it is a sign that Cafcass is taking fathers' rights groups seriously. Matthew Mudge chairs the Cardiff branch and is also involved with Fathers for Justice. He claims after 84 hearings and 3 High Court orders, his ex-wife is still putting barriers in the way of him seeing his 7-year-old son Joshua. Matthew Mudge argues that Cafcass is ignoring the interests and wishes of his child.
In particular, he's drawn a picture of the house I bought last summer, and he's put in his school books, I want to live here, I can't wait to live in our new house. It's bigger than where I live now, and it's got a lovely big garden. And I've drawn the fact that this evidence exists to the attention of the Cafcass officer. She's refusing to put a copy of this work in the report to the court.
But many family law solicitors maintain that the only bias Cafcass has is in favour of the child.
Cafcass reporting officers would always start from the position that the court starts. They're governed by the Act of Parliament that says you have to look at the child's wishes and feelings, and the child's welfare is the court's main consideration. So they start from the point of view of looking at everything from the child's eyes, not from the mother's eyes or the father's eyes.
As part of the new children's bill going through Parliament, responsibility for Cafcass will be devolved to the Assembly, but the Liberal Democrats have warned it may be a poison chalice.
It's right that we should have devolution, but we don't have devolution from an organisation which is in trouble, and one which has got a budget tag hanging over its back shoulder.
Cafcass Cymru will become the responsibility of Health and Social Services Minister Jane Hutt. She's under pressure for her running of the NHS, but there have also been recent critical reports of some councils' child protection procedures, which also falls under Jane Hutt's remit. Devolution will also allow the Children's Commissioner, Peter Clark, to intervene if he feels Cafcass Cymru is mishandling a case.
There is an opportunity to address Welsh issues in terms of Cafcass now, and that is an important step for the future of the service in Wales. But there's an anomaly as well, because obviously the Children's Commissioner will become involved in the interests of children, and the interests of children have to be paramount here. But the family court system, which Cafcass deals with, is not accountable to the Assembly, and therefore you could get a situation where the Children's Commissioner in Wales is called in, but actually the court decision is beyond his powers.
Parents, solicitors, politicians and charities all agree that the law must focus on the best interests of the child. But it's what that means in practice, in individual cases, that is the challenge for the future Cafcass Cymru to establish.
Well, David Evans, Chief Executive of Cafcass Cymru, declined to be interviewed on this programme tonight. However, Cafcass have issued a statement rejecting the criticisms levelled against it in Brian Meechan's report. They say they have no fixed policy of bias against fathers, and that courts have to consider what's in the best interests of the child. They also insist Cafcass employees are highly competent practitioners with a diploma in social work or equivalent.